Xiao Hong raised his glass again, his face lit up with a cheerful smile, and said, "Brother Zhou, let me buy you a drink." Suddenly, a shrill voice rang out. A woman on the other end of the line said, "Zhou Zhang, are you spacing out when being asked something right now?" Zhou Zhang froze for a moment before replying, "It's me." The voice continued, "Wu Chaoyun, captain of the Flash Lightning team. Do you know Zhang Sun?" Hearing this, Zhou Zhang quickly responded, "So it's Leader Wu. I've heard so much about you." When Wu Chaoyun heard Zhou Zhang's compliment, she felt immensely proud and replied, "You flatter me. There aren't many people who can make Zhang Sun submit, so let's get straight to the point." Leader Wu then continued, "In 4 days, the Flash Lightning team has a mission to complete in order to raise the team's ranking. The reward is 1 purple crystal, plus 5% of the mission payout. Brother Zhou, are you interested?" Hearing this, Zhou Zhan was somewhat surprised. At the Martial Artist Association, an elderly man was demanding what they owed him. That elderly man spoke again, Chang should be fine this time. He was already on the brink of a breakthrough before joining, so there should be absolutely no problem. A man with striking red hair stepped forward, raising a hand in greeting as he said, "Boss, I've finally made my breakthrough." The elderly man sitting there was just smoking a cigarette. He glanced over at the man's physique, his muscles, and his arms before he remarked, "Boss, I'm now a level 5 martial artist." The elderly man added, "Good, you're exactly the kind of person I value." Yang Hua placed his arm around Cheng's shoulder and said, "Today, we have to celebrate. What do you want?" Cheng seized the opportunity and spoke to the boss, "Boss, I still can't forget that woman." Then, Cheng recounted, "The first time I saw her, I couldn't escape the thought of her." A vivid image of a girl jogging and a luxury car stopping to look at each other flashed in his mind. Suddenly, there was a soft ah, and a door opened, revealing someone standing inside. Su Yunwen, holding flowers in her hands, blushed deeply and shyly asked, "Zhou Zhang, why are you suddenly giving me flowers?" Zhou Zhang, embarrassed, replied, "I just saw a poor child selling flowers." Ramsey, feeling helpless, glanced at Zhou Zhang and said, "Young master, if you could spend a bit of your training time balancing it with romance, then." Suddenly, a beeping sound rang out. A white car sped through the streets, and someone arrived, delivering a bouquet of stunning red roses. Ramsey, puzzled, asked, "Young master, where did you get so many roses from?" Zhou Zhang quickly refused and said, "This has nothing to do with me." At that moment, Cheng appeared, laughing heartily, and said, "Of course, it has nothing to do with you. This is my gift for Miss Su." After speaking, Cheng stepped in from outside with an incredibly cheerful expression on his face. Su Yunwen, seeing Cheng walk in, instinctively exclaimed, "It's you." Hearing Yunwen's words, Cheng smirked and replied, "Humph, Miss Su, I didn't expect you to still remember me." He stepped closer to Su Yunwen, continuing, "I'm not the type of person who likes to force others. If you could just..." Suddenly, a subordinate beside Cheng interjected, saying, "Ah Cheng, why are you pretending to be a gentleman? This isn't your personality." But don't forget, Zhou Zhang is still around. At that moment, Zhou Zhang appeared, his face filled with murderous intent. He stood in front of the group of troublemakers, squinting his eyes and spoke coldly, "I'll give you 3 seconds to get out of here." Upon hearing Zhou Zhang's words, Cheng raised an eyebrow and asked, "What did he just say?" The subordinate behind him burst into loud laughter, and after finishing, he mockingly said, "He told us to leave." He chuckled sinisterly, looking at Zhou Zhang before saying, "Are you counting on yourself?" As soon as he finished speaking, a flash of blue light shot towards them, causing the atmosphere in the shop to grow tense. Suddenly, a loud voice rang out, full of provocation, "What are you trying to do?" Zhou Zhang smiled coldly, his sharp gaze locking onto the opponent. "What do you think I'm going to do? You dare to act like this in my shop? Aren't you afraid?" Chang was taken aback, his expression one of shock. His voice trembled with fear as he stammered, Is this the speed of a level 4 martial artist?" From a distance, Cheng's boss stood observing the situation. Although he felt a bit intimidated inside, he maintained his composure, his eyes glinting with malice. His threatening voice echoed, commanding, "Let Cheng go." If not, I will flatten your shop. The atmosphere was thick with tension. Zhou Zhang held a knife close to Cheng's throat, his gaze icy. Suddenly, a voice rang out from behind, "Young master, don't act rashly." It was Ramsey. He tried to intervene. "Young master, they started it first. We can call the Titan guards for help." Upon hearing this, Cheng broke into a sweat, his eyes flickering with panic. He clenched his teeth and silently repeated, "The Titan guards? I'm not afraid." But soon after, Cheng changed his demeanor. He burst out laughing, his tone dripping with sarcasm. "Zhou Zhang, right? If you dare to kill me, you won't escape the punishment of the Titan guards either." Even in his dire situation, Cheng remained defiant, showing no signs of repentance. Zhou Zhang let out a cold sneer, his voice laced with disdain. "Oh, you said it." With that, he coldly shoved Cheng towards the door. Cheng staggered, his legs trembling, his eyes filled with fear and confusion about Zhou Zhang's intentions. Once outside, Zhou Zhang surveyed everyone present. He still had a tight grip on Cheng's throat, causing panic in him as he ground his teeth. Zhou Zhang didn't say a word, only tightened his grip further, leaving Cheng's face pale with fear. Zhou Zhang glared, coldly asking, "You're scared now, aren't you?" At this moment, Cheng's accomplices were in disarray, shouting loudly, "Damn it! Let Cheng go!" In the distance, a group of people approached, their shouts resonating loudly. The instigator at the front immediately raised his hand. After speaking, two individuals rushed towards Zhou Zhang with lightning speed. In the sky, two shadows in blue glided gracefully through the air. It turned out to be Su, the leader, and a member of the Titan escort team. Both landed on the ground in an impressively dramatic manner. The captain looked at Zhou Zhang with a serious expression and called out, "Zhou Zhang." Ah Chang, as if finding a lifeline, quickly turned and pleaded, "You have to stand up for me. He assaulted me right in the middle of the street." Xiao Hang stepped forward, his voice cold and sharp. He pointed at Zhou Zhang, threateningly raising his voice, "Zhou Zhang, are you not going to release him? Do you want to be killed on the spot?" Upon hearing this, Ah Cheng immediately changed his attitude. No longer afraid, he turned to look at Zhou Zhang, arrogantly challenging him, "Keep being reckless, if you dare." Zhou Zhang slightly curled his lips, his voice deepening as he emphasized each word, "The thing I hate the most is being threatened." Without hesitation, Zhou Zhang pressed the knife against Ah Cheng's neck, blaring coldly, "If you want me to release him, that's not impossible." As soon as he finished speaking, Zhou Zhang forcefully shoved Ah Cheng towards the people outside and shouted, "Catch him!" Fortunately, the boss behind managed to catch Ah Cheng in time. He called out in a panic, "Cheng!" Ah Cheng clutched his neck, his eyes filled with panic and pain. A groan echoed. In an instant, Tan could no longer move, collapsing right in the boss's arms. He had gone to meet the Grim Reaper. Seeing this, the boss was furious, shouting and cursing at Zhou Zhang, "You bastard!" But Zhou Zhang maintained a calm demeanor. He shrugged and coldly replied, "He died in your hands, what does that have to do with me?" The boss, hearing this, was so enraged that he could hardly contain himself, ready to charge at Zhou Zhang recklessly. Xiao Hang, standing nearby, was also furious, gripping his sword tightly, preparing to confront him. However, Su, the leader, intervened just in time. He tightened his grip on Xiao Hang's hands, speaking sternly, "Stop. Everyone, stop." He slowly stepped forward, trying to remain calm, looking at Zhou Zhang and advising, "Zhou Zhang, this has gone far enough. Do not kill anymore." His voice was deep but firm, "No matter your status, you must not underestimate or trample on the order of Titan City." The boss, taken aback, stammered in disbelief, "I must be hearing things?" Zhou Zhang frowned, casually twirling the weapon in his hand, his tone dripping with mockery, "The captain is exaggerating. I'm not a demon." He chuckled softly, his cold gaze sweeping over the terrified crowd. He continued, "As long as they don't cause trouble, I certainly don't want to kill anyone." Su, the leader, had a dark expression but still raised his voice to remind them, "Why aren't you leaving quickly? Do you want to wait to be killed?" The crowd panicked, bowed their heads, and repeatedly responded, yes. Yes. After everything was settled, Zhou Zhang appeared calm, even looking towards the Titan Guard team with a friendly gaze. He suggested, Captain, would you like to sit in the shop for a bit and have a cup of tea? But the leader Su did not respond. He simply turned his back and walked away, letting out a cold snort. The boss's group also left in anger. Outside, the crowd of onlookers began to chatter excitedly. One person in the crowd exclaimed in surprise, their eyes filled with excitement, "This is the first time I've seen the Titan Guard handle a situation like this." Another leaned in and whispered, but with a curious tone, "I didn't expect this grocery store to have the Titan Guard protecting it." Someone else immediately speculated, their eyes lighting up, "Doesn't that mean the goods here are of absolute quality?" The atmosphere suddenly became lively. One person shouted, "I'm going ahead, let me buy first." From behind, an angry voice rang out, "Do you dare to cut in line? Don't young people know the ethics of martial arts?" Another person frowned and shouted angrily, "Damn it, you all line up for me right now." Inside the shop, Su Yunwen was startled by this scene. But she quickly regained her composure, her tone gentle yet serious as she tried to reassure everyone, "Please don't rush, our stock is very sufficient." Standing behind the crowd, Zhou Zhang waved at her, instructing, "Su Butler, I'm stepping outside for a bit. I'll leave everything in the shop to you two." Hearing this, she nodded respectfully, secretly admiring, "The young master has become so capable now, I was just worried about him earlier." In another corner, Su, the leader of the Titan Guard team, frowned, his gaze heavy with contemplation. Xiu Hang, on the other hand, was extremely angry, wildly swinging his sword through the air. He was dissatisfied, his voice tinged with irritation, "Captain, I can't believe our Titan Guard team has turned into a bunch of turtles hiding in their shells." Su slowly explained, his tone calm, "Let me ask you, what is the 16th rule in the order code?" Xiu Hang turned his head, his eyes wide with astonishment, stammering in response, How could that be?" Su's expression was serious as he continued, "A level 4 martial artist is already a 10-star member of the Martial Artist Association." He paused, took a deep breath, and sighed, his voice incredulous, "It truly is hard to believe, but this is the reality." Su continued, his tone bitter, as if trying to elaborate, "A 10-star member has the right to operate outside the rules." At the same time, the boss's group was sitting in a car, leaving the scene. The vehicle sped down the main road. Inside the car, one of the henchmen turned to the boss, looking frustrated, and asked with dissatisfaction, "Boss, are we really just going to let this go?" The boss chuckled coldly, his eyes flashing with danger, "Let it go?" He scoffed, tightening his grip on the cigarette but in his hand, his voice filled with hatred, "Unless he never leaves Titan City in this lifetime." His gaze was as sharp as a knife, each word hissing through clenched teeth, "Otherwise, I will make him understand what it means to live a life worse than death." The car sped down the road. When it reached a turn, it unexpectedly collided with a horse-drawn carriage. However, it seemed that no one noticed this unusual occurrence. Inside the carriage, Zhou Zhang suddenly appeared. He lifted the curtain to look outside and gently suggested to the old driver, "Sir, a blue crystal is following that car." Elsewhere, in the dense green forest, an aggressive wild boar appeared among Mr. Wu's group. Sharp iron blades protruded from its body, ready to defend itself. But before it could do anything, a beam of golden light shot through its head at lightning speed, causing it to collapse instantly. The wild boar lay motionless on the ground, causing confusion among those around it. One person in the group spoke up, his voice filled with worry, "Captain, what's going on?" Wu Di frowned, turned to look at the person who had asked, and replied in a deep voice, "I don't know either." Suddenly, a boss appeared. He leisurely stuffed his hands into his pockets, a cigar dangling from his mouth, and walked up to the group. His voice was casual yet powerful, "You guys have turned the wild boar I raised into this state, how do you plan to compensate me?" Behind him, his subordinates followed closely with guns, their cold gazes sweeping over each person. Hu Zi, the one who had just been criticized, reacted immediately. He angrily tried to justify himself, "How is it yours? You let it go." Without waiting for Hu Zi to finish, Wu Di anxiously interrupted, "Shut up. Wu Di quickly stepped in front of the boss, trying to keep his voice soft yet respectful. Boss, ignorance is no crime. Consider this white crystal as a token of goodwill. I'm looking through a bunch of white crystals. He smirked coldly as he spoke. TSK, is that all you've got? You can't even buy a single pig hair with this. His tone grew increasingly contemptuous, his sharp gaze exuding danger. He tilted his head, his voice cutting through the atmosphere like a knife. Or how about this, you can pay with your lives. High up on a branch, Zhou Zhang sat quietly observing below. He witnessed the whole scene unfolding, his cold eyes displaying a hint of disgust. He murmured to himself, a bunch of trash. When in a bad mood, they come out to kill indiscriminately. As he finished speaking, a loud explosion erupted from behind the boss's vehicle. Boom! The shocking sound made everyone turn their heads in fear. The boss was startled, his expression filled with terror as he shouted, "What's going on? Who fired a shot?" From the crowd, a panicked voice yelled out, "Not me." Before anyone could regain their composure, another explosion followed. Boom! Everyone jumped, and the boss stood frozen in shock with his mouth agape. His eyes suddenly flickered with a mix of fear and anger, and he blurted out, "There's a marksman." From a distance, a panting subordinate ran up urgently, reporting, "Boss, they're getting away." Taking advantage of the chaos, Wu Di's group has slipped away. At that moment, Zhou Zhang's figure gradually emerged. He stepped slowly out of the shadows, showing no fear. When the boss saw him, he didn't express anger but merely chuckled coldly. His eyes sparkled with unusual delight. "It's okay, there's something more fun now." Zhou Zhan lightly spun the weapon in his hand, his expression relaxed yet slightly challenging. He smirked, his voice cold as he spoke, "Bullying the weak is boring. Let's play together." The boss maintained his cold smile, his sharp gaze fixated on Zhou Zhang. He smirked sarcastically, "Hee, offering yourself up again." As soon as the words ended, one of the boss's lackeys, losing patience, boldly charged forward with a sword to attack Zhou Zhang. He shouted loudly, "Die!" Zhou Zhang did not hesitate at all, he surged forward powerfully, and with a single sharp slash, he cleaved the lackey in half. His body collapsed to the ground. Another one, unaware of his own limits, also rushed in. Zhou Zhang easily dispatched each one, every strike swift and precise. A terrified scream echoed, "Boss, save me!" The remaining lackey, standing with his back to the boss, his face filled with fear, spoke up, "Boss, I can't see where he is." Upon hearing this, the boss also became flustered. His eyes darted around, his voice trembling with fear, "How can this be? That kind of martial arts is not something a mere human can wield." From behind, the boss's gaze swept over the destroyed vehicle, and he shouted angrily, "This brat has wrecked our car. Does he want to cut off our escape route?" His voice was steady, but there was a hint of tremor as he questioned, "But where on earth is he hiding?" Suddenly, a panicked subordinate shouted, looking down at the ground, "Boss, have these fallen leaves been here since earlier?" At their feet, the leaves were neatly arranged, forming a small circle. The boss's men were now standing in the center of that circle. The boss began to feel fear, sweat pouring down like rain. He stopped, his voice suddenly turning frantic, "No, get out of this circle quickly." But it was too late. A powerful gust of wind suddenly struck them, sweeping up the leaves and crashing into the bodies of the lackeys. The strong wind forced them to scream in despair, "Ah!" Zhou Zhang, like a moth drawn to a flame, charged toward the boss with an unbelievable speed. In the blink of an eye, he stood before the man. The boss suddenly burst into loud laughter, his voice echoing through the tense atmosphere. Then, with a cold but authoritative tone, he praised, "A level 4 martial artist wiping out my entire team? Impressive." Zhou Zhang remained calm yet brimming with confidence as he replied without hesitation, "You're not the first to tell me that." The boss frowned, a glint of challenge flickering in his eyes. Gripping his sword, he pointed it at Zhou Zhang's face and asked, "Do you dare to fight me fair and square?" Zhou Zhang smirked faintly, his voice steady but tinged with playful defiance. "Sure." As soon as the words left his lips, the two launched into combat at a breathtaking speed. Zhou Zheng's gaze was unwavering, filled with determination to teach the boss a well-deserved lesson. Late at night, Zhou Zheng sat in the back of a horse-drawn carriage on his way home. The old driver, curious, asked, "Kiddo, how was your haul today?" Zhou Zheng shrugged lightly and replied with an indifferent tone, "Nothing special." The old man, still concerned, pressed on, "Didn't catch anything valuable?" Zhou Zheng stayed silent, not answering. His mind drifted back to the image of the boss, nothing truly valuable. As Zhou Zheng remained deep in thought, the sudden ringing of a phone shattered the quiet. Startled, he looked down and quickly picked it up. From the other end came an excited voice. Zhou Zheng couldn't help but smile, his face lighting up with enthusiasm as he replied confidently, "Brother Chang, an auction? Don't worry, I'll be there on time." Zhou Zheng arrived in front of a luxurious hotel where the auction was taking place. He looked at the powerful black ticket in his hand, surprised that he was so famous. Ramsey, who was beside him, gazed with curious admiration and asked, "Young master, who are the extraordinary people you know?" Then, a beautiful receptionist in neat attire politely bowed and smiled, saying, "Hello, sir, this is your room number 9. Su Yunwen stepped inside, his eyes sweeping over the lavish room, exclaiming in surprise, "This room is so lavish." "Wow!" A voice echoed from the speaker system as a beautiful female MC appeared, solemnly announcing, "Ladies and gentlemen, the auction officially begins." The female MC enthusiastically continued, pointing at the item on the table, the first auction item. At that moment, in the luxurious room number 9, Zhou Zheng sat calmly inside. The young man Ramsey, who accompanied him, observed the auction through a glass window, curiosity mingled with eagerness as he asked, "Young master, aren't you going to participate?" He shook his head, his voice gentle yet firm, "For now, I don't wish to buy anything." The MC continued to introduce the items, her voice rising in excitement as she lifted the red cloth. Next is auction item number 37. Due to the 35% thermal conductivity, it's an extraordinary dagger. Someone in the crowd sitting nearby gasped in awe, his eyes lighting up upon seeing the item, with its 35% thermal conductivity. He clicked his tongue, a hint of regret in his voice, "What a pity, it's just a dagger, I can't use it." Suddenly, Zhou Zheng exhaled repeatedly, calling someone on the phone, his voice clear and decisive as he said, "Brother Chang." His eyes shone with determination, "I will take this dagger." The brown-haired female host held the microphone and continued the auction. "We will now begin the bidding. The starting price is for a low-grade purple crystal." Upon hearing the host mention the starting price of the crystal, the crowd below buzzed with excitement. One guy remarked, "Cheaper than I thought." Another chimed in, "After all, it's just a minor weapon, which means a 35% ratio." A guy sitting above, noticing another looking through a magnifying glass, exclaimed in surprise, "A low-grade purple crystal?" The auction grew increasingly lively, with everyone competing to place their bids. 1.2 low-grade purple crystals, 1.5 low-grade purple crystals. The host continued as the crowd made their offers for the crystal. Suddenly, Zhou Zhang received a call, and the voice on the other end said, "Zhou brother, this dagger is a consignment from the Star Meteor Company, I really can't go through the auction directly." Upon hearing this, Zhou Zhang replied, "I understand, I will bid according to the rules." The voice on the other end, hearing Zhou Zhang's response, continued, "But I have a way to help you get the dagger." Zhou Zhang's expression changed upon hearing this, a look of suspicion crossing his face. The female host then began to speak again, "Now we have a high-grade purple crystal. Is there any guest who wants to raise the bid?" Another person spoke up, 1.7 high-grade purple crystals. When someone bid 1.7, the people below became bewildered. A young man wearing a tie gasped in shock and said, 1.7 high-grade purple crystals. Oh my goodness! The guy with the magnifying glass was no less surprised. He shouted, "The world of the wealthy." The young man sitting next to him, also holding a magnifying glass, chimed in, "It's just a dagger." It seemed that no one in the audience believed that anyone would bid such a high price for a dagger. The value of the dagger didn't merely stop at 1.7 high-grade purple crystals, it had already risen to 2 high-grade purple crystals. When Zhou Zhang bid 2 high-grade purple crystals, Ramsey and Su Yunwen were dumbfounded, unable to believe it. Ramsey grabbed Zhou Zhang's hand and said, "Young master, you didn't make a mistake, did you? Wrong bidding will incur a 10% bidding fee." Su Yunwen also looked at Zhou Zhang with a worried expression. In contrast to everyone else's anxiety, Zhou Zhang maintained a calm demeanor. When the MC heard someone bid 2 high-grade purple crystals for the dagger, she was thrilled, her face beaming as she called out, "2 high-grade purple crystals, is there anyone willing to bid higher? If not, I will close the bidding." The MC was very excited, her hand already holding the gavel as if ready to finalize the sale. After waiting a long moment without any further bids, the MC declared, "Congratulations to the guest in box number 9. The 2 high-grade purple crystals have successfully bid for this exquisite dagger." The host just said, holding the gavel, signaling that the auction was successful. Perhaps due to her excitement, when she brought the gavel down, sparks flew. Once the auction was successful, Zhou Zhang picked up the dagger and spun it around, looking incredibly cool, like a 10-star character. He gazed at the dagger with excitement as it gleamed brightly in shades of blue. Su Yunwen looked on, her mouth agape in astonishment. Zhou Zhang said, "Thank you, Brother Chang." Upon hearing this, Chang Zhan waved his hand dismissively, signaling, "What are you talking about? Thanks to the Wind God Pterosaur's skin you provided, we could acquire this Wind God Pterosaur's armor of the last bid." When the Star Meteor Company learned that the buyer of the dagger was the one who supplied the Wind God Pterosaur's skin, they immediately agreed to postpone the payment date for the dagger. After saying this, a gigantic robot appeared on screen, and Chang Zhan continued, "After all, this is an ultimate life-saving item, with a conductivity rate reaching 30%. It's worth far more than this exceptional blade. 1.5 pieces of high-grade purple crystal. I offer 2 pieces." Zhou Zhang responded, "A life-saving ultimate item?" From my perspective, Zhou Zhang holding the dagger looked incredibly impressive. Zhou Zhang went on, "A good weapon is the strongest life-saving ultimate item." He held 2 daggers in both hands, as if preparing for battle. The enormous unicorn was staring at Zhou Zhang, its face fierce, surrounded by a mysterious red aura. Zhou Zhang was not afraid at all and said, "No surprise it conducts electricity at 35%, even the defenses of a level 7 monster can be easily broken through." Suddenly, a loud scream erupted in the room. It turned out that the scream had come from Hu Zi. He shouted, "We've encountered a ghost, this is definitely a level 7 room." Another level 4 martial artist appeared. Upon hearing Hu Zi's scream, Zhou Zhang went into the room. With a cheerful expression, Zhou Zhang raised his hand and asked, "Wu leader, where is the meeting point?" "The main road to the east outside Titan City, Nature's Restaurant." People were bustling in and out all around them. Nature's Restaurant had a beautiful natural scenery. With a cloudy sky covering the lush green mountains, a small restaurant nestled among the trees presented a picturesque sight. Some people were walking around below. Anyone would want to visit such a dreamy landscape. When Zhou Zhang entered the room, a level 6 young man approached him and said, "Brother Gao Shou, you made it." Several level 7 and 8 guys were still seated, chatting happily. The level 6 guy cheerfully told Zhou Zhang, "Over here, Kato Zhang Sun isn't on gatekeeping duty, he got shot down on the spot." "Oh really?" At that moment, Zhou Zhang sprayed some mist, awkwardly smiling, and said, "Actually, my surname is Gao, my given name is Shou. It's a pleasure to meet everyone." Wu Chaoyan stood up, extended his hand to invite Zhou Zhang to a seat. He said, "Gao Shou, welcome. I am the team leader of the Lightning team organizing this operation." This time, when everyone had settled down, Wu Chaoyan spoke up again, "Thank you all for coming to help the Flash Lightning team complete the mission to level up. Since everyone is here, I'll introduce this mission." The crowd focused their attention as Wu Chaoyan pointed at a map and said, "The number 1 People's Hospital in Yi City, fully equipped with advanced medical devices. The Martial Artist Association requires us to retrieve at least 3 sets of equipment to consider the mission complete." Hearing this, Zhou Zhang frowned and thought and commented, "This mission is incredibly difficult." Wu Chaoyun, surprised at his remark, responded, "That's correct. This is an abyss-level mission. In the Martial Artist Association, missions are ranked as normal, elite, abyss, and hell level. Wei Heng's eyes widened in shock, his jaw nearly dropping as he exclaimed, "This." The man beside him added, "It's on the same level as the Wind God Pterosaur mission." With a broad smile, Wu Chaoyun raised his hand and declared, "Everyone, so far, only 3 abyss-level missions have been completed. Finishing this one will earn enough contribution points for everyone to be promoted to 10-star members." Tu Fu, with a bold expression, slung a massive hammer over his shoulder and placed a hand on his chest, proclaiming confidently, "I'd say it's worth trying if it gets me straight to a 10-star membership." Clearly brimming with confidence in his abilities, Tu Fu's fierce face turned toward the crowd as he bellowed, "Any weaklings here should just go home and sleep." The sudden outburst left everyone stunned. They stared at Tu Fu, their mouths agape in disbelief at his audacity. Zhou Zhang, upon hearing Tu Fu's words, angrily shouted, "Tu Fu, say that again." Tu Fu, equally defiant, yelled back, taking advantage of Wu leader, when faced with a tough task, "You ought to run away. Is there anything in this world that's so easy?" Wu Chaoyun, witnessing the argument between the two, felt a bit awkward. He said, "Everyone, please calm down. I respect everyone's choices." With a proud expression, Tu Fu punched Zhou Zhang in the face while he was drinking water, causing Zhou Zhang to contort and spit water everywhere. He said, "Gao Shou, do you dare to go?" Tu Fu thought that by doing so, Zhou Zhang would be intimidated, but that was not the case. Zhou Zhang, unfazed, calmly picked up his cup of water and responded, "Of course. According to what Wu leader said, if we've made a promise, how can we just change it?" Upon hearing Zhou Zhang's words, HNH was delighted. With a beaming face, he patted Zhou Zhang on the back and said, "Ha, well said." Zhou Zhang was somewhat shocked by HNH's enthusiastic slap on his back. With a joyful expression, HNH looked at Zhou Zhang and proclaimed, "With that statement, from now on, you will be my brother, Tu Fu. Who in Titan City would dare to bully you? I'll crush their skull." Hearing Tu Fu say that made Zhou Zhang very happy, and his face lit up with joy. Zhou Zhang chuckled awkwardly, thinking, "Why do I always end up befriending someone who enjoys violence like this?" One person in the group remarked, "Who said they're not going? Whoever doesn't go is a grandson." Tu Fu also spoke up, saying, "That's right, I've never been afraid." Wu Chaoyun was very happy to see everyone united in this way. He clasped his hands together and said loudly, "So thank you all in advance." Wu Chaoyun continued, "Let's set off immediately, everyone, get on the vehicles." The vehicles that had been prepared beforehand quickly sped down the main road. Wu Chaoyun was holding a piece of paper and reading, then he said, "From here on, we can only proceed on foot. We need to clear the remnants of the Yi City territory ahead to establish a temporary base. Everyone must be cautious." After hearing Chaoyun's words, those surrounding him shouted in unison. Tu Fu slung his weapon over his shoulder and, while walking, said, "Younger brother Gao Shou, there are many zombies here, you have to stick close to me." Hearing this, Zhou Zhang scratched his head and said, "Oh." Suddenly, Tu Fu attacked someone with his weapon. His strike was so powerful that it sent the person flying into the air. Zhou Zhang, standing beside him, exclaimed, "Tu Fu brother, actually, I'm not one of the Gao family, my real name is Zhou Zhang." As soon as Zhou Zhang finished speaking, Tu Fu was taken by surprise and turned around to say, "Ha, kid, but..." At that moment, Tu Fu didn't pay attention to Zhou Zhang's words, as the monster he had just struck was falling from behind him, and it seemed eager to devour Tu Fu. Before the creature could act, a beam of light shot through and pierced straight into the monster's head. Right after that, Tu Fu turned to Zhou Zhang, raised his hand to give a thumbs up, and said, "All right, for this arrow, I forgive you." At that moment, Zhou Zhang was holding a bow and arrow, and he could only force a smile to brush it off. After walking for a while, the group decided to take a break in front of a dilapidated high-rise building. Wu Chaoyun said, "Everyone, take a moment to rest and regroup. We'll set off in 10 minutes. Wei Han was sitting leisurely, wiping the blood off his sword, and with a calm expression, he said, "Gao Shou, the mutated zombies inside are not as simple as they seem now. You're not really planning to go in, are you?" Then, he swung his sword to demonstrate his strength and continued, "It's only level 4, going in there is just asking for death. When that time comes, don't drag us down with you. Some money isn't something everyone can earn. The teammates sitting behind him burst out laughing upon hearing this. Suddenly, a person appeared in front of Wei Hang. Both Wei Hong and the teammate were taken aback and turned to look. At that moment, Tu Fu, with a hammer slung over his back, said, "He can't earn that money, but you can? Just by looking at you, it's clear you're clumsy." Hearing this, Wei Hong was extremely angry. He stood up and shouted, "Tu Fu!" Seeing him so furious, Tu Fu deliberately mocked, "What? Go ahead and try." Zhou Zhang then unexpectedly appeared. With a bright smile, he rubbed his hands together and said, "Tu Fu, let it go. Wei Hang is just worried about my safety. Let's not argue anymore." At this moment, Zhou Zhang was thinking to himself that if it weren't for the fear of affecting the mission, he would have taught Wei Xing a lesson about how to be a person by now. Zhou Zhang was feeling very awkward. He could only continue to say, "Forget it, just let it go." 10 minutes later, someone appeared in a powerful support suit, with bright legs, striding so forcefully that it shattered the pavement beneath him. Everyone in the group was wearing support suits, one by one leaping over the rooftops. Xing and Zhou Zhang were running together. Noticing that Zhou Zhang was running quite fast, Xing silently thought, "Not bad, at such a high speed he can keep up with the team. It seems that if he can't fight back and just runs, he should be fine." Suddenly, explosions began to occur one after another in the other buildings. Wu Chaoyun, holding a sword in one hand and binoculars in the other, looked through the binoculars and said, "High-level zombie." Suddenly, Chaoyun shouted, "Hide, it's coming." Everyone's faces turned pale with fear. Suddenly, a gigantic dragon appeared, soaring into the sky. Compared to it, Zhou Zhang's group was like a speck of dust. The dragon flew above, circling and destroying an entire building. That monstrous dragon then changed direction, picking up a zombie beneath it as it flew. Wu Chaoyun, both panicked and frightened, asked, "What on earth is that monster?" Wei Xing, standing next to him, replied, "At least level 10 or higher." Wu Chaoyun raised his hand to signal and continued, "While the beast attracts most of the zombies, we need to leave quickly." Everyone obeyed the orders of their superiors. At Yi City's top public hospital, a high-level zombie appeared, its body massive and deep blue in color. Everyone was standing at a distance, observing. At that moment, Wu Chaoyun spoke up, "It's not easy. There's also a green-scaled zombie below. Should we kill it?" Wei Hong, hearing this, replied, "Although green-scaled zombies are slow-moving and have a high chance of dropping purple crystals, their defense is extremely difficult to penetrate." Suddenly, Chaoyun turned and said, "Wu leader." Zhou Zhang then asked, "Is the speed of the green-scaled zombie really that slow?" Wu Chaoyun immediately responded, "Of course. Although its scaled armor provides high defense, it also significantly limits its speed." Right after that, Zhou Zhang declared, "Then I choose to kill it." Hearing this, everyone was shocked and frightened. What Tu Fu shouted at Zhou Zhang, "Kid, has your brain cramped or something?" Zhou Zhang turned to look at Tu Fu and calmly said, "Tu Fu, I know my limits." At that moment, Zhou Zhang silently thought to himself, "Maybe others can't break through the zombie's defense, but my theft skill has coercive properties, it might just work." Wei Hang then spoke, "Limits? Your limits involve dragging a dozen of us to our deaths?" Hua Tufu was furious, shouting, "What nonsense are you spouting?" Wei Hang turned to look at Chao Yun, pointing at Zhou Zhang as he said, "Am I wrong? What else does this kid know besides archery? Can he really break through the defenses of a level 4 zombie using just arrows?" Listening to Wei Hong, everyone was stunned in agreement. At that moment, Zhou Zhang had an expressionless face as he said, "Wei Hang is right, arrows alone won't breach a zombie's defenses." Then, Zhou Zhang reached down to touch the daggers at his thigh. He continued, "So." He drew out 2 daggers, spinning them skillfully, then said, "I also have this." Wu Chaoyun, seeing this, exclaimed, "Ultimate blades." Wei Hong, standing next to him, remarked, "So, he indeed managed to auction the ultimate blade that day." HNH, standing behind, added, "Impressive, kid, you've been holding back." Hearing HNH's words, Wei Hong shouted, "What if you have high-level weapons?" A level 4 martial artist challenging a level 4 king zombie is simply seeking death. Zhou Zhang looked toward HNH and replied, "I believe I can contend with the level 4 zombie, but I need everyone to help me eliminate the surrounding zombies. Trust me." Upon hearing this, HNH raised his hand and nodded, "I believe in you." The rest of the teammates behind also echoed, "If that's the case, no problem. Gao Shou, I believe in you this time." Looking at the high-level zombie, Zhou Zhang thought to himself, "Hey, we haven't had some fun yet." Zhou Zhang charged forward, using his skills to slash through numerous zombies, the strikes creating a zigzag pattern. As he prepared to attack a zombie from behind, it seemed to have sensed him. The zombie suddenly turned around, reaching out with its hand and opening its mouth in a horrifying manner. However, before the zombie could do anything, Zhou Zhang had already dashed past, leaving a knife thrust that pierced through the zombie's body. A teammate standing at a distance felt the impact and remarked, "Indeed impressive." Wu Chaoyun nodded in agreement, saying, "I really underestimated this kiddo." Moments later, the high-level zombie recognized Zhou Zhang and charged at him. Zhou Zhang showed no fear as he ran towards the high-level zombie. The zombie kicked hard, and the force of the collision sent several other corpses flying. Despite being knocked back, Zhou Zhang continued to press forward. Zhou Zhang and the zombie resumed their attack. Next, Zhou Zhang executed a flurry of strikes, hitting hard at the zombie's wrist. Noticing the damage was too low, Zhou Zhang thought, "The defensive power is too strong, no wonder it's made from top-tier material that has been forged into a green topaz." Then, as Zhou Zhang was falling from the air after the high-level zombie's attack, which was still screaming, he observed the high-level zombie and silently thought, "Its movements are indeed very slow, much slower than the wind god pterosaur." But suddenly, a master-level zombie was crushed to the ground by the weapon's hammer. The zombie let out a wretched scream. After cleaning up the basic zombies, Hin looked towards Zhou Zhang and the high-level zombie, then he said, "This kiddo really resembles a catfish." Wei Hong, who was standing next to him, swung his sword to attack an approaching zombie and said, "Humph, we can't injure it, no matter how agile it is, it's useless." Wei Hong continued to attack the zombie, leaping down and using his sword to slash at it. He shouted loudly, "Everyone, hold on. We must buy him some time and space." 2 hours later, everyone in the group was standing close together to defend. The zombies kept coming to attack. Wei Hong, now losing his composure, shouted angrily, "Damn it, he really wants to pull us into the water." Wei Hong was still fighting the basic zombie, his face flushed with anger and drenched in sweat, and he continued to shout, "What have we even done to that bastard? Besides jumping up and down like a monkey, has he done anything to the zombies?" Wu Chaoyun was exhausted. He also tiredly looked towards Zhou Zhang and thought, could it be that Zhou Zhang really? Suddenly, the high-level zombie vomited out a streak of green fluid. Zhou Zhang, standing nearby and ready for battle, was taken aback by the sight. Wei Hong exclaimed, "Why did he collapse?" Wu Chaoyun, standing beside him, added, "I didn't see any zombies injured." Tu Fu, hearing the two of them, spoke up, "Why care so much about it?" At that moment, a zombie was charging towards Tu Fu and attacking. Seeing the zombie rush in, Tu Fu launched a hammer strike, sending the low-level zombie flying. At the same time, Tu Fu shouted loudly, "We must trust our brothers, protect this place, success is right in front of us." The others, hearing Tu Fu's words, excitedly cheered loudly. But suddenly, the high-level zombie stood up again, and the battle between Zhou Zhang and the high-level zombie resumed. Zhou Zhang's face now clearly showed signs of exhaustion. He was panting and thought to himself, "Although I can kill it like this, it will still take at least 2 more hours. The pressure is too great for my brothers." Suddenly, Zhou Zhang had an idea. He smirked and thought, "I've got it." Next, Zhou Zhang turned and ran away. The high-level zombie, seeing this, stomped in anger and chased after Zhou Zhang. Zhou Zhang ran quickly and leaped onto a building. The zombie was still hot on his heels. The high-level zombie was tricked by Zhou Zhang, its massive body collided with the building, causing it to collapse on top of the high-level zombie. Zhou Zhang, meanwhile, was safely hiding on the roof of the building. After that, Zhou Zhang looked down at his teammates and shouted, "Tu Fu, come help me." Seizing the moment, Tu Fu quickly stepped up, then immediately jumped up, using his weapon to strike hard at the high-level zombie's leg, while also shouting loudly, "Alright, I'm on it." With a loud bang, Tu Fu struck the zombie's leg with immense force, causing it to roar in pain as the surrounding ground shattered, sending debris flying everywhere. The high-level zombie roared angrily and turned, reaching out its massive hand in an attempt to grab the human attacking it. The zombie strained, extending its hand further, desperate to catch Tu Fu. Suddenly, Zhou Zhang appeared above the zombie's head. He called out, "Hey, big guy, your target's over here." Hearing Zhou Zhang's voice from above, the high-level zombie looked up and roared furiously. However, by the time it reacted, Zhou Zhang was already standing on the rooftop of a building behind it. Seeing him perched there, the zombie turned around to pursue him. Standing heroically on the rooftop, Zhou Zhang shouted, "I'll draw its aggression, keep attacking its legs." The teammates watching from another rooftop were taken aback. One of them exclaimed, "Is that even a valid strategy?" Wei Heng added, "Reminds me of when I used to kite bosses in video games as a kid." Wu Chaoyun, meanwhile, could only stand there, dumbfounded by what was happening. After 30 minutes of relentless attacks, the high-level zombie's health bar had decreased significantly. Tu Fu remained positioned in front of the zombie, keeping it occupied. Then, with a sudden burst of energy, Zhou Zhang leapt down, plunging two swords straight into the zombie's chest, delivering the final blow. As the battle concluded, Zhou Zhang panted heavily, exhausted from the fight. At that moment, his level had increased to 39. Standing behind him, Wei Hong remarked, "Master level." "Impressive." Another teammate chimed in, "Dude, you totally slayed that." Wu Chaoyun stepped forward and said, "Brother, thank you." Zhou Zhang responded to Wu Chaoyun, "We're all on the same team, so it's only natural." As the sky gradually darkened, inside a room of an old, crumbling building, everyone had gathered in a circle around the campfire. Wei Hong said, "This time, aside from the purple crystal, just the number of those scales is already a great deal." Hearing this, Wu Chaoyun interjected, "What are you so happy about? If it weren't for Gao Shou, we wouldn't have been able to take down that zombie." At this point, Zhou Zhang suddenly realized and replied, "I was just doing what I was supposed to do." Tu Fu suddenly slapped Zhou Zhang on the back with great force and said, "Kiddo, you're pretending to be weak and fooling even me." Both of them were now smiling brightly. Wu Chaoyun tossed the last piece of wood into the campfire to keep it going, then added, "But everyone, don't get too carried away. Get some rest early. Tonight, Zhang Xiao and I will take the night watch." The campfire had gone out, and everyone was lying in their sleeping bags, peacefully asleep. Suddenly, a figure crouched up, resembling Wei Heng. He was heading towards the door, seemingly wanting to go somewhere. Suddenly, a voice rang out, startling Wei Heng. The other person asked, "Where are you going?" Wei Heng broke into a sweat and stammered, I'm just going outside to use the restroom." Wu Chaoyun looked at him intently and reminded him, "Be careful, don't go too far." Wei Heng quickly headed for the door, responding as he walked, "Got it." Watching his retreating figure, Wu Chaoyun let out a deep sigh. As soon as Wei Heng stepped out of the room, his expression shifted dramatically. His eyes turned cold and sinister, and he let out a low scoff. In his hand was a red metal cylinder. Smirking, he muttered to himself, "Zhou Zhang. Lu Yongshan and Xiao Jian couldn't kill you, but now I see they were just pawns, assassins working under Zhou Zhang's banner. But that doesn't mean I won't succeed." In the dimly lit hallway, the undead shuffled aimlessly, searching for prey. Suddenly, one of them turned, alerted by a faint noise behind it. Before it could identify whether it was friend or foe, its head was severed with a swift horizontal slash. Meanwhile, at the injection room, Zhou Zhang's team was making a concerted effort to capture the area. It was a critical location, holding the medical equipment and supplies they desperately needed. Their plan was simple: strike fast, secure the facility, and get the medical supplies out. Having successfully taken over the radiology department, Wu Chaoyun's lightning team secured a cache of medicine. They were now moving carefully towards safety, carrying the supplies in an organized fashion. Zhou Zhang, armed with his bow, stood vigilant, scanning his surroundings to cover his team. The convoy was loading essential supplies onto the vehicles, preparing for a hasty retreat. Wu Chaoyun, noticing the fatigue on everyone's faces, shouted encouragement, "Stay strong, everyone. If everything goes smoothly, we'll be able to head back this afternoon." The captain had just finished speaking when the members of the brigade suddenly heard an eerily frightening scream. They looked at each other in confusion. What was that? It sounds like a horde of zombies. One of the guards looked through the binoculars, and fear struck him as he quickly called the captain to report. "Captain, it's bad. I don't know why, but the zombies are charging towards the hospital. The undead are extremely agitated. They are surrounding the fence right outside the hospital, smashing it down and using all their strength to climb over and attack Wu Chaoyun's group. There are too many of them, they are spilling into the hospital." Wu Chaoyun's team had to run up to the roof of the hospital to take refuge. Everyone looked at the sea of zombies, worriedly saying, "They are gathering too quickly. We no longer have time to break out." Another person spoke up, blaming himself, "It's all my fault." He struck his chest, regretfully saying, "It was my decision that put everyone in danger." A teammate beside him patted his shoulder in comfort, "We're all here voluntarily, doing this for pay. There's no need to apologize, don't give up until the very last minute." Wei Hong sat slumped in the corner, sneering in disdain, "What time is it? You're still talking nonsense, what do you suggest we do?" He continued, "Do you expect the Gao Shogai to come and save you?" Upon hearing Wei Heng's words, one teammate was infuriated, and if it weren't for another teammate to intervene, a brawl would have surely broken out. He shouted, "I'm going to beat him to a pulp. Don't stop me." After thinking for a moment, Zhou Zhang turned to everyone and said, "I have a way." Everyone stopped what they were doing and looked at him with eager eyes. "Huh? Brother Gao Shou, do you have a solution?" Zhou Zhang began to explain, "I can break through the encirclement and make my way outside, then pilot a helicopter back here." He pointed to the city map affixed to the roof of the hospital and continued, "That's right, but everyone needs to trust me one more time, we need an aerial drop into Yi City." One person unfolded the map and, looking worried, said, "Although this place is less than 5 kilometers from the helicopter, the road is completely blocked by zombies. Moreover, flying a helicopter is not like driving a car." "Can you really do it?" Zhou Zhang patted him on the shoulder and replied firmly, "Don't worry, I can run there and pilot the helicopter. I've trained with the butler before." Everyone patted him on the shoulder again and asked, "Brother, are you sure you can do it?" He smiled, his gaze resolute, "Of course, at least a 70% chance." At that moment, everyone regarded Zhou Zhang as a beacon of hope, the only light in the darkness. In unison, they said, "Whatever you need, just tell us. As long as you don't give up, we will wait for your return." As soon as he finished speaking, he leaped from the rooftop down to the ground. Zhou Zhang used his technique to glide past the layers of zombies. The people on the rooftop watched Zhou Zhang's retreating figure and declared emphatically, "He will forever be my brother." I acknowledge that. Wei Hong watched as everyone praised Zhou Zhang, his irritation growing evident. With a disdainful smirk, he sneered, "What? Who's to say he won't just leave us all behind and run off?" Hearing such words, the group turned on him, their annoyance palpable. Someone snapped, "Wei Hong, shut your mouth." Wu Chaoyun, visibly angered, glared at Wei Hong and barked, "Wei Hong, as soon as this mission is over, you're out of the lightning team." Wei Hong chuckled coldly, turning to leave. With a dismissive wave of his hand, he replied mockingly, "Fine, fine. I'll leave right now if that's what you want." As he walked away, a sinister smile crept onto his face, his eyes glinting with malice. Under his breath, he muttered, "Too bad you won't live long enough to see this mission through." Wei Hong made his way to the rooftop of another building, leaping across with practiced ease. Near an air vent, he crouched down and began fiddling with some contraption. After a few minutes of tinkering, he revealed an automatic parachute. Grinning smugly, he muttered to himself, "You all can stay and die. I'm not wasting my time here with you." Intent on fleeing alone, Wei Hong had revealed his true colors, a traitor through and through. Meanwhile, back on the lightning team's side, the rooftop door burst open as a horde of zombies swarmed through, their growls filling the air. Someone shouted in alarm, "The zombies are here." The team immediately snapped into action, weapons raised and resolve steeled. Together, they rallied, shouting, "Don't give up, everyone." One member, glancing around, frowned and asked, "Where's that kid Wei Hong?" In the heat of the moment, there was no time to dwell on it. Another team member yelled urgently, "Forget about him. We just need to hold out until Brother Gao Shou gets back." Behind him, the horde of zombies was trampling over each other in a desperate attempt to climb up. People were panicking and shouting loudly, "There are zombies coming up from behind too." The scene was utter chaos, with everyone trying to raise their weapons, ready to fight. In the midst of this perilous situation, Zhou Zhang appeared in the heart of the enemy. He radiated a unique source of green power, like a powerful rolling wave. Fearlessly, he charged out, breaking through the encirclement of the zombies. With each step he took, he delivered a powerful blow that shattered the undead. At the same time, Zhou Zhang was using the stealth technique, moving silently among the zombies. He noticed the number of zombies ahead dwindling and felt relieved. "That's great." He thought to himself, "The destination is not far away, there must be a plane's landing gear ahead." He hurriedly advanced, not wasting any time. Suddenly, he sensed a strong surge of pinkish-red energy. A level 7 armored rat appeared, its eyes gleaming with murderous intent. The zombies, caught off guard, rushed towards the armored rat. But it unleashed a powerful strike that instantly annihilated the undead. Witnessing this scene, Zhou Zhang couldn't help but be astonished. This thing is indeed the nemesis of zombies. Watching the beast trampling over the corpses, Zhou Zhang reminded himself, "Let's move quickly, it's better not to disturb them." Suddenly, a sense of danger washed over him. He realized something was charging towards him. The armored rat aggressively struck, but Zhou Zhang quickly dodged. He was slightly stunned, wondering, "How does it know I'm invisible?" A thought flashed through his mind, could it be that it can smell me? Zhou Zhang looked down at his hand and noticed the filthy substance smeared on it, the very thing he had touched when killing the green-scaled zombies. "No wonder I've always smelled that strange stench." He quickly shot up into the sky, and then Zhou Zhang executed a move that made the black armored rat cry out in pain. It erupted in anger, unleashing a powerful surge of energy. Zhou Zhang was slightly surprised. Its defense is too high, it will take at least 10 minutes to kill it. Zhou Zhang tore off the sleeve stained with the zombie's green fluid and whispered, "It's a pity that it has high-quality materials on it, but I don't have time to play with you right now." Sensing the scent from the piece of cloth that Zhou Zhang had tossed aside, the black armored rat aggressively attacked. Taking advantage of its focus on the cloth, Zhou Zhang delivered a powerful strike that created a massive explosion. Then, Zhou Zhang shot forward at lightning speed. In the blink of an eye, he reached the helicopter's platform. He let out a sigh of relief, finally made it. At the helicopter, there were still a few zombies wandering around in search of prey. Zhou Zhang poured fuel into the helicopter and thought, "I hope this thing can still fly." After finishing, he slammed the fuel cap shut and climbed directly into the helicopter. At that moment, the zombies, sensitive to noise, all rushed toward the helicopter. Inside, Zhou Zhang felt a bit flustered. With so many buttons, why doesn't it look much like what Su Butler taught? Whatever, let's give it a shot. Immediately, the helicopter's blades started spinning, and it gradually ascended into the sky. The zombies below continued to charge stubbornly. On the other hand, the members of the Flash Lightning team were beginning to tire as they fought against the ferocious zombies. One person, panting, spoke up, "It's been 20 minutes, could it be that Brother Gao Shou?" Seeing this, Wu Chaoyun shouted loudly, "Everyone, keep it up. We must trust our brothers." Looking at the team struggling and relying on a low-level martial artist, Wei Hong sneered with disdain, "A bunch of fools, that Zhou Zhang is probably already dead in the mouth of a zombie." He stood high and mocked, "Do you really think of him as a god? Ha ha. Tu Fu's member angrily shouted, "You kiddo!" Wei Hung arrogantly replied, "I won't hesitate to tell you another secret. The reason I joined here is not for that purple crystal." He opened his mouth wide and yelled, "As long as I can kill Zhou Zhang, I will be able to get those 2 purple crystals. You are just his accessories." Then, Wei Hung pressed the switch and opened the parachute he had prepared. He spoke in a mocking tone, "Goodbye, you fools." Suddenly, Wei Hong saw something flying towards him, and he exclaimed in surprise, "Huh? What is that?" Up high, Wei Hong couldn't believe his eyes. Zhou Zhang, at the same time, was focused on piloting the helicopter to rescue the Flash Lightning team, completely ignoring him. Below, the members were still busy fighting off the zombies. Seeing Zhou Zhang, one person joyfully shouted, "The helicopter, Brother Gao Shou is back." Tu Fu's member then spoke up, "That's my brother, I knew he would succeed." Wu Chaoyun shouted loudly, "Brothers, let's knock out these zombies and head home." At the same time, Zhou Zhang lowered the rope and instructed the team, "Everyone grab the rope, let's go downstairs and grab the medical equipment as well." While fighting off the remaining zombies, the team members shouted in response, "Got it." After a while, the preparations were complete. Zhou Zhang called down, "Is the cargo secure?" The others replied, "Everything's fine." Zhou Zhang happily exclaimed, "Brothers, it's time to go home." The members of the Flash Lightning team cheered, "Let's go home." Instantly, the helicopter shot up into the sky, carrying the team in a vehicle. Everyone laughed joyfully. "Ha ha!" Tu Fu, like a child going to the amusement park, excitedly said, "This is awesome, this is amazing." Tu Fu whispered, "I thought today would be the last time I ever saw the sunlight." Wu Chaoyun grumbled, "This trip must have been caused by Wei Hang. Once we get to Titan City, I'm definitely going to investigate him." Suddenly, one of the team members shouted, "Hurry, look ahead." "Is that the bastard?" At that moment, the team saw a man hovering in the air. Tu Fu's member immediately brandished his weapon and said in a gruff voice, "Get closer, you have to split him in two. Behind us, everyone is filled with murderous intent to kill him." Zhou Zhang then interjected, "Everyone, this is not the time, we need to intercept him first." Without hesitation, they swiftly closed in on the target. Tu Fu's member eagerly threatened him, saying, "Run, hurry up." Seeing that they were still alive and pursuing him, Wei Hung couldn't help but exclaim, "You guys." The helicopter lightly collided with Wei Hang's glider. The Flash Lightning team coldly warned, "You and your brothers wait for him ahead." With one wing torn off, Wei Hang began to spiral in the air. Frustrated, he shouted, "Damn it, fly up for me. Fly." At that moment, the zombies on the ground had begun to surround them, eagerly awaiting their tasty prey. Noticing their outstretched hands trying to grab him, Wei Hung hung precariously in the air and yelled, "Get out of my way. All of you, get out." Just then, an arrow whizzed past and struck a zombie below right in the head. Wei Hung turned around in shock and saw the Flash Lightning team closing in. Panic-stricken, he thought, "It's over, they really want me dead." Then, another arrow zipped by and lodged itself directly into the remaining wing of his glider. Immediately, a powerful explosion occurred, not only knocking Wei Hang off balance but also creating a loud sound that attracted the horde of zombies. Zhou Zhang, with a look of amusement, said, "Let's go, it's time to settle the score." The Flash Lightning team responded, "Understood." At that moment, Wei Hong was struggling to fend off the zombies. He was gasping for breath, no longer able to sneer arrogantly as he had before. His face now displayed clear fear. The members of the Flash Lightning team arrived, and they shouted, holding him accountable, "Wei Hong, how do you want to die?" Wei Hong lifted his head and said, "You can't kill me." A member coldly replied, "Give me a reason not to kill you." Wei Hong quickly answered, "I am a member of Dark Shadow. If you kill me, you will face endless trouble." Hearing this, Tu Fu was slightly surprised. "Dark Shadow?" Then, he snarled, "I don't care whether you're Dark Shadow or White Shadow." Wu Chaoyun, standing behind, also added, "That's right. What's so special about Dark Shadow?" Zhou Zhang smirked slightly, then coldly stated, "Dark Shadow, huh? perfect, I have a debt to settle with him too. Seeing their determined attitude, Wei Hong shouted, if I'm going to die, I'll drag you down with me. Wei Hong swung fiercely at Zhou Zhang, but Zhou Zhang nimbly leapt upward, leaving Wei Hong stunned and off balance. The powerful attack from Wei Hong missed entirely. In a split second, Zhou Zhang landed and delivered a decisive blow. He collapsed right at the feet of everyone, his eyes clearly reflecting fear. At that moment, Tu Fu's member furiously brandished his weapon, you bastard, die. After safely returning, the members of the Lightning Squad gathered in the VIP reception room of the Martial Artist Guild. One member quietly remarked, in this lifetime, I never thought I would have the chance to become a 10-star member of the Martial Artist Guild. Another beside him eagerly pointed out, hey, this cup of tea also has star power. Zhou Zhang gently spoke up, this tea is called Meteor, it's said that during the harvest season, there are only 3 days each year. Noticing his familiarity with it, Tu Fu's member curiously asked, have you drunk this tea before? At that moment, Wu Chaoyan placed a hand on the shoulder of his idol and said, I think we should officially reintroduce our Gao Shou. His real name is Zhou Zhang, alias Gao Shou. I believe everyone has seen his abilities by now. Wu Chaoyan continued, of course, there's another reason. He is one of the rare 10-star members of the Martial Artist Guild in Titan City. Hearing those praises, Zhou Zhang felt a bit shy. Tu Fu's member excitedly inquired, hey kid, are you really a 16-star member? Zhou Zhang replied, flustered, just lucky, that's all. At the same time, deep within the Martial Artist Guild, a man's voice echoed, Guild leader, how should we deal with this Zhou Zhang? The president whispered, if he has met the criteria for promotion set by the guild, then of course he should be promoted according to the regulations. Jiang Cheng thought, if Zhuyi knew that the first 11-star member of Titan City wasn't him, but a level 4 martial artist, it's hard to imagine what his reaction would be. Hearing this, the president chuckled, I'd really love to see his reaction. He then softly said, place Zhou Zhang in the red tier and keep a close watch on his talents. As for this second mission, let's see if it was just luck. Jiang Chang responded affirmatively. The president added, also, temporarily hide the photos of Zhou Zhang. Consider it a bit of protection for him, but there's no need to hide his name anymore. Back in the Martial Artist Guild's VIP room, Tu Fu eagerly asked, Director Shin, how was our mission evaluated? Jiang Cheng smiled politely and said, everyone, don't speak just yet. Please sit down. After you sit, I'll explain. For this deep-level mission, 80% was completed successfully. Everyone will be promoted to 16-star members. Upon hearing this, the Flash Lightning team joyfully cheered, yes. Director Shin continued, Zhou Zhang. He handed Zhou Zhang a badge and said, this is your new membership card, take it. As they stepped out of the door, Jiang Chang looked at everyone joyfully and thought to himself, in such a short time, the Martial Artist Guild has gained so many 10-star martial artists. Director Shin thought to himself, moreover, every time there's a promotion, Zhou Zhang is involved. A level 4 martial artist, an 11-star member. The high-ranking martial artists of Titan City will soon be feeling uneasy. The next day, a martial artist was focused on his training, muttering to himself, only 95% more experience to reach level 40. His eyes gleamed with determination, once I learn the level 40 stone shooting skill, the promotion effect can be further enhanced. However, the forest was devoid of any monsters, and he felt a bit disappointed, looks like another group beat us to it. At the campsite, Zhou Zhang saw martial artists taming beasts and exclaimed in surprise, I've heard of beast tamers before, but this is the first time I've seen them in person. Looking at the flag across from them, he recognized it as the Beast King Alliance. Thinking for a moment, Zhou Zhang decided to step back, if there's nothing else, it's best not to interfere with them. Suddenly, a loud motorcycle horn blared. A group of tough-looking individuals zoomed by at an incredible speed, resembling Western-style desperados. Behind them, a girl rode a green bike, with a cute puppy by her side. They zoomed by like a gust of wind. Seeing this, Zhou Zhang became intrigued and decided to check out how the beast tamers caught their pets. At the same time, the animals were grazing peacefully. Suddenly, they all sprinted away in fear, running from the beast tamers. The girl reached into her bag, pulled out a pinkish powder, and tossed it into the air to tame the wild beasts. The deer, after sniffing the powder, immediately became unusually docile. They stopped running around and gathered in one place. The girl shouted to her pets, "Bai Shui is back, don't scare them." She then gently stroked the wild animals and comforted them, "Don't be afraid, we won't hurt you." Suddenly, Bai Shui noticed something unusual and went into alert mode. At that moment, the beast tamer loudly called out, "Who's there? The Beast King Alliance is hunting. Please take another route." Noticing that Bai Shui had detected him, Zhou Zhang stepped out and said, "I mean no harm. I just saw you hunting and wanted to learn a little." Facing the beast tamers, Zhou Zhang spoke politely, "I'm just curious about the hunting methods of the Beast King Alliance." Upon hearing this, Wu Di, a level 5 martial artist, angrily shouted, "Kid, are you asking for trouble?" Beside him, there was also Wang Zhangyi, a level 5 martial artist, Li Xiu, a level 6 martial artist, and an unknown level martial artist, Xiang Shirhan, standing nearby. Seeing this, Zhou Zhang was somewhat astonished. This girl was actually a martial artist of the 8th level. At that moment, Xiang Shirhan stood up and spoke, "How many times have I told you, don't speak so aggressively?" She straightforwardly asked, "What do you want to learn from us?" Zhou Zhang replied, "I really like animals, so I want to learn how to tame them." "Is that a bad thing?" Xiang Shirhan handed him a bag of powder and said, "It's simple, just use this kind of powder." Zhou Zhang immediately showed interest, "Can I buy this powder?" Xiang Shirhan then quoted a price of 1 topaz and said she could give him a portion. Zhou Zhang promptly confirmed his order. After he left, Wu Di felt quite confused and spoke up, "Sister, you're just going to sell it to him like that? There was someone before who offered 1 topaz, and you didn't sell?" Xiang Shirhan replied softly, "Whether to sell or not depends on my mood. Anyway, this powder only works on deer horses." At that moment, a 7th level mutated blanket lizard was curled up deep in the forest. Zhou Zhang climbed up a branch and muttered, "Now that the wind is favorable, let's try the powder out." Having said that, he sprinkled the pink powder below. With the breeze, a large amount of powder flew toward the mutated blanket lizard. Suddenly, it let out a roar and raised its head high. Seeing this, Zhou Zhang was extremely astonished. "Why doesn't it act like I thought?" When the mutated stone whip struck fiercely and severed the tree trunk that Zhou Zhang was standing on, he realized, "That girl has played me." Although somewhat stunned, Zhou Zhang still nimbly dodged the attack from the mutated stone whip. After soaring into the air, Zhou Zhang chuckled softly, "Every cloud has a silver lining. It seems this powder can make that big guy hurt himself." At that moment, the mutated stone whip blazed with a murderous glare. Zhou Zhang charged straight at it and loudly declared, "Enough already, it's my turn now." He unleashed a flurry of sharp attacks. Meanwhile, on the other side, a group was taking down a tiny serpent. Kongshin spoke up, "A young master, I heard sounds of fighting ahead, I'm going to scout it out a bit." Chu Xiong cleared his throat a few times and replied, "Go on." The young master's face suddenly flushed bright red like a tomato. It was a pity that the girl had just returned only to be killed by the old wizard. This time, he absolutely had to find someone else to make up for it. When he saw the mutated stone whip beaten down to the ground, writhing helplessly, Kongshin couldn't help but be astonished. This scene must have been caused by someone strong, at least a martial artist of level 8 or above. At that moment, Chu Xiong arrived just in time and said, in a serious tone, "Haven't you finished investigating yet? The smell of blood is overwhelming." Kongshin's voice was firm as he said, "Young master, when going out for training, the first priority is to ensure your safety. We should head towards the red zone. This place suits you well," he added. Chu Xiong immediately replied, "Let's go now." At that moment, Zhou Zhang had already reached the red zone. He muttered to himself, "That stone bed earlier boosted my experience by 20%. This area must be crawling with beasts level 7 or higher." Zhou Zhang strode confidently into the zone, chasing wealth and power amid the danger. In the rugged valley, a loud roar echoed through the mountains. Zhou Zhang was engaged in a fierce battle with a giant beast. He swiftly struck its back, causing it to cry out in pain. Thud! In the blink of an eye, Zhou Zhang had brought the massive creature to the ground. He collapsed on the ground, trying to catch his breath. As he drank water, Zhou Zhang suddenly noticed something unusual. An attack came hurtling toward him. Turning quickly, Zhou Zhang saw that 500 members of the monkey clan had arrived. He was startled, exclaiming, "So many of them?" At that moment, the monkeys pointed at Zhou Zhang and let out a furious roar, launching a series of powerful attacks toward him. Zhou Zhang nimbly leaped into the air to dodge the oncoming strikes. He grinned, thinking, "I can use these monkeys to practice my small-distance teleportation." The small-distance teleportation skill was one of the passive abilities of thieves, relying on the body's instincts to dodge all incoming attacks. The skill would only level up when the thief successfully evaded an opponent's strike. It was one of the hardest passive skills to train in the Firmament mainland, requiring immense focus and precision. At that moment, Zhou Zhang took a powerful blow. The force sent him crashing into a tree behind him. With a grin, he narrowly dodged the next strike and hissed, "You have a lot of potions, huh? Bring it on." Suddenly, Zhu Xiong launched a mighty attack toward the beast. His subordinates behind him praised, "Young master is amazing, that thrust was perfect." Zhu Xiong, frustrated, shouted, "Shut up! All I want to know is when I can go back." Kongshan quietly replied, "Master once said, when you reach level 7, that's when you'll return." Zhu Xiong, his temper flaring, yelled, "Then what are you all standing around for? Find me some nearly dead beasts to kill already." His subordinates quickly responded, "Yes, young master." Meanwhile, the monkeys continued to pelt Zhou Zhang with rocks. He muttered to himself, "That feeling earlier." Zhou Zhang realized that his agility was improving. He could now dodge attacks effortlessly, without exerting any extra effort. The small-distance teleportation skill was leveling up rapidly as he continued to avoid the barrage of strikes. He thought, "Small-distance flash at mid-rank, I've finally grasped the small-distance flash at mid-rank." Zhou Zhang excitedly shouted, "Next, I should level up too." Seeing him suddenly dash up the tree, the group of monkeys jumped in shock. Zhou Zhang aimed directly at the largest one, then at the 500 monkeys nearby. The entire forest echoed with the frantic cries of the monsters, and in the blink of an eye, Zhou Zhang handled them with ease. He smirked proudly, "Finally level 40. The system then displayed a notification, "Entered rolling state." After being attacked or initiating an attack, the effect will disappear and a 2-minute cooldown is required. The trebuchet launches a dagger. The dagger, thrown into the middle of the enemy, will deal damage and cause the enemy to bleed. Finally, it returns, dealing 80% of attack power along with 500 damage, and requires 1 minute. Zhou Zhang silently analyzed, a group attack with 500 damage and bleeding, enough to quickly take down 3 or more level 3 mutated beasts. At this moment, a series of strange noises caught his attention. The 500 monkeys were rushing towards him. Zhou Zhang delightfully said, "Right on time." He immediately dashed towards them. The monsters, terrified, lowered their heads in fear. Time passed quickly, like a dog running across the fields, and before they knew it, 9 days had gone by. Zhou Zhang casually opened the monkey's stomach to collect items, happily saying, "After getting the trebuchet, the leveling effect has definitely increased." Suddenly, a roar rang out, startling Zhou Zhang. A huge monster with fierce, bloodshot eyes charged towards him. Without a second's pause, it launched a brutal attack. Zhou Zhang smirked and muttered, "Finally, you're here. Come on then." At the same time, a subordinate flattered him, "Young master, I can feel you're about to level up." Zhu Xiong replied irritably, "Humph, I hope so. I don't want to stay here for another second." Suddenly, a loud noise caught their attention. Kongshan gestured with his hand. "Wait, there's something ahead." From a distance, they could see the giant monkey fiercely attacking its prey. One subordinate spoke up, "Level 5 martial artist, daring to come here to kill the mutated white monkey? I'm not seeing this wrong, am I? Shu Xiong looked surprised. Are level 5 martial artists that powerful now? Young master seemed intrigued and said, Kongshin, kill that brat, we need to get the white monkey. Killing this white monkey will help me level up. Kongshin immediately responded, yes, young master. Shu Xiong turned to assign tasks. Fong Kong, Kong Jinhee, you two handle that martial artist. Everyone else, come with me to kill the mutated white monkey. Fong Kong, level 7, and Kong Jinhee, level 7, immediately responded. At the same time, the giant ape let out a deafening roar that echoed through the mountains, then slammed its hand towards Zhou Zhang. He quickly dodged and realized there were two suspicious figures. These people have been lingering for half a day, and now they want to make a move on me? They boldly advanced, armed with weapons, towards the giant ape. Suddenly, a powerful strike was aimed at the weapons of Fong Kong and Kong Jinhee. Zhou Zhang's eyes flared with murderous intent, and he dashed forward at lightning speed. Fong Kong exclaimed in surprise, huh? Kong Jinhee, standing beside him, loudly asked, what's going on? At that moment, Zhou Zhang, full of fury, charged ahead, unconcerned with anyone in his way. He shot directly toward the two subordinates of young master. Seeing that the strike didn't have much effect, Fong Kong sneered in disdain, thinking it was just a puny dagger. Suddenly, he realized he had been hit with a powerful attack, and he couldn't help but exclaim in shock, how could this be? Zhou Zhang had leapt into the air, swinging two daggers as he shouted, if you have questions, think about them down there. Seeing his lightning-fast speed, Fong Kong was left stunned. At that moment, Kongshin reminded, be careful, leave the final blow for the young master. Suddenly, a scream rang out, startling Kongshin. Turning around, he discovered that the bushes, along with his subordinates, had all been defeated. Observing the scene from above, Zhou Zhang thought to himself, so it turns out the wind god Pterosaur's armor was auctioned by him. These people are no ordinary folks. At the same time, Shu Xiong boldly faced the giant ape. Young master delivered a decisive strike to steal the credit, and Zhou Zhang smirked, saying, but daring to steal my monster, I'll make you pay 10 times over. Your life and the wind god Pterosaur's armor are now mine. After Shu Xiong attacked the monster, it quickly collapsed. Not stopping there, he delivered another blow. Once the strike was made, Shu Xiong stood there, panting heavily, surrounded by a powerful aura. Then, he raised his hand and looked at his palm in joy, level 7, I'm level 7 now. Excited, he used his new strength to deliver another strike, cutting down the nearby trees. At this point, his subordinates moved forward to congratulate him, congratulations, young master. Finally, young master is level 7. After the praise, Shu Xiong turned around, smiling broadly, and declared, when we get back to Titan, I'll take care of all the expenses at the Hongyan nightclub. The words made the group of followers cheer, thank you, young master, you are truly generous. Behind them, Kongshin felt a bit anxious and ordered, quickly gather the prey and go check on Fong Kong and Kong Jinhee to see how things are. Soon, the group appeared in the forest to assess the situation. 2 level 7 fighters had been killed by a level 5 fighter. Kongshin observed and instructed, this is very strange. Protect the young master well, we must retreat immediately. Every word made the veins on Shu Xiong's forehead twitch, a level 5 martial artist has scared you all this much? What if those two underestimated their opponent and were killed by other beasts? Not stopping there, he added, moreover, who have we, the Sky River Group, ever been afraid of? Kongshin, you need to be stronger. This scene was quietly noted by someone, so they are from the Sky River Group. No wonder they are acting so brazenly. In another corner, Shu Xiong was warning Kongshin, Kongshin, you are getting more cowardly by the day. If that kid runs away, so be it. If he dares to come here, I will teach him how to be a person. I just need half a minute. Kongshin then understood and took up his weapon to leave. With the young master's might, you don't need to take action, just give me a minute, and I can handle him. As Kongshin walked, he frowned in contemplation, realizing he had overthought things and felt truly embarrassed for being intimidated by that kid. Holding a large axe, he marched straight into the forest, confidently asserting, "Yeah, young master, it's best that he doesn't show up in front of me again." The person mentioned was currently crouching invisibly with his arms crossed, witnessing everything, but he remained oblivious and kept shaking his head as if nothing had happened. "Otherwise, I'll let him know." Hearing this, Zhou Zhang merely chuckled, unconcerned. Kongshin continued to walk while proclaiming the terrifying nature of an 8th-level martial artist, oblivious to what lay behind him. He casually raised his hand, dispatching one of his subordinates. A few seconds passed, and the group looked on in shock at the body that had fallen to the ground. What just happened? Kongshin rushed forward, grabbed one person by the collar, and asked, "Where did you kill him?" The person could only stammer, "That was so fast, I didn't even see clearly." Then, without saying anything further, the people surrounding Chu Xiong drew their weapons. "Protect the young master, we need to retreat quickly." With weapons in hand, Kongshin gritted his teeth, thinking, to kill someone in front of me and still make it disappear without a trace is truly dangerous. Late at night, Zhou Zhang sat on a tree branch, swinging his legs as he looked into the cave before him. Did you think hiding here would keep me from finding you? I have a system to help me, you know." Suddenly, Zhou Zhang remembered something and sneered, "If you like to play dirty, I'll give you all the dirty play you want." His attention then shifted to several red bars on the forest. He quickly jumped down from the tree and called out to the wolves nearby, "Brothers, it's time to get to work." Inside the cave, a series of groans echoed, "What a disgrace, such a disgrace. Being hunted down by a level 5 martial artist." The group sat in a circle. Kongshin hesitantly called out to Chu Xiong, "Young master, just now, there's a sound outside." The noise immediately grabbed everyone's attention. A gunshot rang out. Chu Xiong, however, remained optimistic, thinking, maybe someone is out hunting? Kongshin moved outside, rebutting his view as he walked. At this hour, in the forest, a regular martial artist would be trying to hide. How could someone be hunting? Outside, Zhou Zhang stood innocently, smiling. "Hello, I've brought you a little gift." With that, he gradually faded into the darkness, revealing several bright red eyes. Zhou Zhang stood in the shadows, grinning wickedly, watching this scene unfold, leaving Kongshin in disbelief. Before he could say much, Zhou Zhang charged forward, forcing him to struggle to block the attack. The health bars dropped drastically in no time. Zhou Zhang stood on the tree, hearing the shouts and sounds of fighting. "Ah, big boss." Time flew by, and 3 hours had passed. The group had finally defeated the monster and was now gasping for breath, utterly worn out. Zhou Zhang was somewhat surprised. "No wonder he's an 8th-level martial artist, stronger than I thought." After dealing with the pile of monsters, Kongshin, panting, looked at Zhou Zhang with a bewildered expression. "Who on earth are you?" Zhou Zhang gave a knowing smile and replied, "I'm just an ordinary person who got caught up with some bad players." Seeing him approach, Kongshin enveloped himself with power and said, "Does an ordinary person need to use such formations to deal with us?" But Zhou Zhang was not having any of it and immediately countered, "You were the ones who tried to kill me first, okay? Don't act as if you are the aggrieved party." At that moment, Chu Xiong also emerged from the cave, looked at Zhou Zhang, and shouted as if he had never shouted before, "Don't think this will just blow over. You've made an enemy of the Sky River group today." Kongshin froze, looking towards Chu Xiong. Zhou Zhang, unfazed, activated his power. He originally intended to spare the guy's life, but now he had changed his mind. Seeing Chu Xiong approach, Kongshin felt a twinge of panic and asked, "Are you really willing to confront the Sky River group? Do you know what the consequences will be?"